to talk his deal, the upcoming year in Pittsburgh, addressing the one question we've all been wondering about Aaron Rodgers. He goes on to say here, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a one-year deal. The Steelers didn't need to put any extra years on that or anything. What better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL with Mike Tomlin and a great group of leadership and great guys in a city that expects you to win. Brou, he's pretty sure this is it. Your reaction?
Well, this is an example of why I think this is going to be in badly for the Steelers. In fact, in Mike Tomlin's first losing season of his career, because I felt like in some way, shape, or form, Aaron Rodgers was going to make it all about him. Now, I didn't expect necessarily this way, but now, think when you go to training camp, every player, the coach is going to be Aaron Rodgers last season, what do you think you guys are going to do? Like it's all going to be about Rodgers. And granted, they have done a good job with distractions with players, who distractions for other reasons. But I just think that this is now going to overwhelm everything in Pittsburgh for this season. Farewell tour, the great Aaron Rodgers playing his last season. And I just think that is the best thing they could have done is he would have gone in there, just played quarterback. Obviously, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to get a lot of attention, but he's not drawing extra attention to himself. This, to me, is definitely doing that. And he wasn't even fully definitive.
No.
He left enough question where it makes it even more of an issue.
Let me ask this. Does it also make him unbenchable?
Yes.
Does it, that's
yes.
the, now I understand that if you're to the point to where you're thinking about benching him, the season's probably gone to hell anyways. But the Steelers, during
people don't want to see his last year.
Right, exactly.
The Eli Manning situation. Remember they benched him and they were like, you can't bench Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Last year's the Giants are like, oh, right, we got to bring him back in.
We put him back in. But the Steelers have had multiple years post-Big Ben where they have changed quarterbacks or switched quarterbacks during the year and still kept this winning, either made the playoffs or kept the non-losing season streak alive. It continues to me to beg the question as to why Pittsburgh decided to do this. And I know, Brou, you have said he was their best option. But first of all, he did not have to be their best option. Like, I'm not a Darnold guy, but Darnold was obviously available. You mentioned it earlier. I am a Geno guy. Geno was obviously available. Now, Geno, maybe it was specific. Pete Carroll wanted him because of their relationship.
Well, and it was more expensive to get there. You got to give up a draft pick and $100 million.
Yes, but they did that for the receiver, for DK Metcalf.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That I think maybe if you had a better quarterback, you wouldn't have felt the need that you had to go do that. Now, maybe that was also about they knew they were moving on from Pickens. Right. This is all kind of interconnected. This is another instance where it feels to me like it is not a reciprocal relationship. I know what Aaron is getting out of this, and I feel like the Steelers are deluding themselves into what they think they're going to get out of this, and that, to me, if you're a Steelers fan, is disconcerting.
Right. For me, selfishly, since we talk about Aaron Rodgers so much, he sucks the oxygen out of the room. He goes on McAfee once a week, and then he appears on some of the biggest podcasts in the world, and he's a 4-time MVP, and he is undeniably, historically great. And there was a time when I also thought, to be fair, really damn interesting. Like, a lot of people have opinions on Aaron Rodgers. I've resented how much we've talked about him the last 3 years with none of the football substance to back it up. This time, given that, say what you will about the Steelers and their streak, and I know you think they're going to have a losing record, I've picked the Steelers to have a losing record the last 4 years and been wrong every time. So there is something to the high floor that Mike Tomlin gives you in the regular season, and it seems like Aaron Rodgers looked at the available options and said, where is there the most organizational competence, and who do they play on the schedule?
You think he did that, or this was the only team? Because I think this was his third choice. I think he wanted Minnesota ahead of them. Yeah, he wanted the Rams ahead of them.
And they weren't interested.
Right.
But the Giants would have taken him.
Sure, okay.
There were other scenarios that could have been out there. Retirement was an option. And he was like, well, That's a cool jersey. Mike Tomlin's a cool coach, and I get to play the Bears one more time. That'll be great for my ego. I could play the Packers one more time. That'll be amazing. I could stick it to the Jets in the opener. Like, we're going to talk about this guy regardless. If they're a 5-win team, we're talking about him. And so I, at least as a football fan, am here for the sports theater of some of the matchups that are going to be presented by Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers.
It's going to be
better than the Jets.
If they're terrible and they start poorly, and what I'm saying is clearly going to come true,
but that's a
then
huge
that's
story.
fade.
But that's a huge story.
It'll be for a while, but then it'll eventually fade.
I don't. So just real quick before we move on, Dust, if you can just throw up their schedule. I think some of these I don't have it committed to memory, so I don't know when they play the Bears.
I think week 12.
Yeah, I don't think this will be. I don't think they will be a story by then.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that.
I think Rodgers versus the Packers is a story no matter what.
Jets.
But Jets is week 1. But here's the thing, and this is, again, maybe I'm a cynic on this. With all of the excitement of the NFL being back and everything that's happening in week 1 of the season, Steelers-Jets is not going to make my top 5 games that I'm most interested in. Because Aaron Rodgers against the Packers is interesting, and I don't think they are going to be that relevant by the time they get to the Bears. So I think it's a bet the Steelers are making and Rodgers is making. I don't know that I share that optimism.
All right, well, so let's talk about some quarterbacks who are ranked higher than Aaron Rodgers, all right? Nate Tyson published his top 10 quarterback list. Caleb Williams, nowhere to be found. I'm sure he's just one of one on his own list, but that's not the story here. The guy who led the Eagles to a Super Bowl, nowhere to be found. Let's put Nate Tyson's list up here. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow.
Great top 4.
Yeah. Herbert.
Then it gets wonky.
I mean, not. It's perfect.
Nobody has a different top 4. So
I frankly think it's a perfect top 6. Herbert and Stafford. Then Love, Dak.
The Prince.
A huge.
What a win.
It has to be a typo.
I mean, Baker got snubbed, but I have one other issue, but Brou, what a list. What a list.
I agree with that. What a list. My goodness. I don't know Nate Tyson. He's good at from what I've seen. He's good at what he does.
Mike Tyson's kid. He's worked in the league. I'm not diminishing.
No,
He grew up around the NFL.
I'm just saying, this list is terrible. All right? I mean, Trevor?
Yeah.
He agrees.
I had to look down the standings and the stats of the whole league because I was like, is there a Lawrence I'm missing? Is there a Lawrence quarterback I'm missing? It can't be Trevor Lawrence, who I like.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't put him. What's he doing in the top 10?
He's got.
I think Jalen is a top 10-ish quarterback. You can argue against him being in it, but I don't think you can argue right now, of what they've done to Justin Herbert. And this is my guy last year. J-Lo, Dak, or Trevor is ahead of Jalen Hurts.
And Purdy obviously not in there either. That I thought you might have issue with.
What about Jaden Daniels?
And you know I have. That's what I'm saying. Where in the world is Jaden Daniels? And here's the thing about Hurts.
It's a great list. You're jealous of the list.
Go ahead.
This list. Look at Jalen Hurts' numbers just from last year. All right, these are his numbers and rankings. 5th in passer rating, 4th in yards per attempt, 8th in completion percentage, 5th in TD interceptions ratio, and 5th in the league. He's the highest ranking quarterback in rush TDs.
Yeah.
And he's
exactly,
the highest
18 passing touchdowns.
They don't throw it. They don't throw it.
Oh, they don't ask their quarterback to throw? That might be an argument for him not being a top 10 quarterback.
He throws it almost, and he's not as good as this guy, but Josh Allen doesn't throw it a ton either. And I'm just saying, look, when he does throw, he's great. And we know in the big moments, he plays his best. 2 Super Bowls, been great in both. I'm just.
I want Daniel.
Sorry, he's getting disrespectful.
I'm gonna steer this car into a ravine.
I'm sure you will, and I'm looking forward to going there with you. All right, we can have a graphic off. You want to have a graphic off?
Let's
have
see
a
what
graphic
you got.
off. I don't know. He's not a top 10 quarterback because he's just not. If that's what Nick could say about Joker, I'm sorry. The actual, how much they trust him to throw the football. Yeah, you can pencil him in for 600 to 800 rushing yards a season and 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns, and I'm with you.
And that's valuable.
An elite leader and gamer. But hold on, let's just do the exercise. Do the Eagles have a top 10 offensive line?
Yeah.
Do they have a top 10 running back?
Yes.
Do they have a top 10 wide receiver core?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they have a top 10 defensive line?
Yeah.
Do they have a top 10 secondary?
No, I don't know, but
Do they have a top 10 general manager?
yeah.
You can answer all of those unequivocally yes with no
They
debate.
also have a top 10 quarterback.
I want
I don't
my
understand
quarterback
why.
doing what we do best. You just meant with Saquon Barkley and that offensive line, why go out there and have him throw it 35 times a game?
If C.J. Stroud is the quarterback of the Eagles, are they worse?
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
He's not. Look, I
CJ
like
Stroud.
CJ.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
You think they're worse if Dak Prescott's their quarterback? I don't.
The-
I think
Dak
that-
has not played in big games like Jalen Hurts.
I think the situation that they have put Jalen in, and by the way, unbelievably impressive. A 6-3 record in the playoffs, great in both Super Bowls. He's a gamer. He's a leader.
Is Dak a gamer? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
I mean,
Like,
Dak's got the worst playoff winning percentage ever. But we
That's
don't
true.
have enough time. Can I, Brou? Can I
Put us
take
into the
over
ravine.
for a
Yeah,
moment?
Go ahead.
Because you missed the most important part of Danny's read. Danny said this is also Danny's exact top 6.
That's correct.
Because he believes Justin Herbert is far and away better than Jalen Hurts and all those other guys.
You know what stat I have for that?
See, here we go.
you got to grab.
See there? No. This is why.
He throws it well.
I watched the games.
Did you watch the playoff games? Have you watched the playoff games?
A couple of those interceptions were off the guy's hands.
No, have you
Two
watched?
of them were, two of them weren't.
Again,
Four.
this is why your
get it. He's
entire, and this was, again, for the audience. I've known Danny for 20 years.
That's right.
I call him my best friend. He always says he wrote a book with his best friend, and I didn't write a book with him. You know what I mean? Whatever, like, it's fine. Doesn't have to be totally reciprocal. But I did intentionally laid a trap during King of the Hill, which was Danny demanded. Well, then why? It was incredulous that my answer as to why Joker was better than SGA was because he just is. And you basically said that's an invalid argument. You can't just say he is. So I am asking you,
I'm sorry,
why is
basketball,
Justin Herbert better than Jalen Hurts? What does he do? What makes him better than Jalen Hurts?
He does throw it better. I'll give you that.
Which is to the other team in the playoffs.
The principal job of a quarterback is to throw the football?
It's actually to win.
Oh, God.
It's the win.
Wins are a quarterback stat?
I mean,
So
and
then
he
why
does
is
it
Brock
efficiently.
Purdy not on the list?
He does it efficiently,
Brou's
too.
a Brock Purdy guy. But again, what is the argument for why Justin Herbert, a half decade into his
they took
career,
the ball out
with
of his hands,
talented
too.
teams,
Which was a problem that I had with Harbaugh.
Okay, but they're going to be great
But
this
when
year.
they put the ball in his hands, he threw 4 picks.
It was a bad
What
playoff
is
game,
the
man.
argument for Justin Herbert having 0 noteworthy NFL moments a half decade into his career if he's awesome?
I got LASIK surgery. I see the NFL very clearly. I won at a 65% clip against
This
the
is
spread
the
last year.
same
I
answer you
crushed
gave for Joker.
And if you
That
put,
he shot down.
Justin Herbert on Philly and Jalen Hurts on the Chargers, the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year. And Justin Herbert would not have 18 passing touchdowns.
Hey, I've got a question for you. In that scenario that you just gave, the Los Angeles Chargers, with that defense, the #1 scoring defense in football, that head coach and that offensive line, if you put Jalen Hurts on that Charger